Ready, set, go.
Is this thing on? Hold on a minute. Let me bring y'all up. Try it again. Is this thing on?
I almost said it.
That's why I kept you down for so long. Ain't nobody stealing my
I
line.
can never get enough volume.
Too bad. Way too bad.
Oh, man. It's a Hillbilly broadcast again. We were bored, so we decided to do a show,
Yeah.
which is how this whole darn thing started.
I know. Actually, what it is we have a really good topic for today. I've been looking forward to this. I remember I found these questions like way back when.
Wheezy, I ain't got my socks off yet. You're trying to get me in the bed with my socks still on.
Yep, I am. I like it fast and easy.
What'd you say, Kanan?
I said, at least take me out to dinner first.
You know, that's always my policy. That's what I demand of everybody.
You demand to be wined and dined before I.
No.
It's already started.
Yes.
There she goes.
Yes.
There
Hey,
she
you
I have a
goes.
timer, Phil.
Right.
I can't help you there.
Right here is the best buy. Right here is the best buy.
I do have a marker button. Maybe I'll have to try to using that a little bit or something.
Right here, right now, right in the Best Buy.
Got a feeling y'all gonna go off the rails.
You want some cheesy poofs?
Yes, follow me. I want some cheesy pools.
Cheesy poof. Mom, the cat's being a
We just got the normal crew here today. We got Missy, John, myself, and then Kanan and Mariah over in Indiana. That's all we got. I do know that we were supposed to. Hold on. Where's it at? Oh, there it is.
First of all, I gotta say, no fancy introduction.
No.
No, dude.
Did you have a bad day?
We were supposed to have Sheriff.
What the fudge? Who was that?
That's me.
Dude, it played so loud in my ear.
I heard it so perfectly.
I love it.
Oh my gosh.
That was wonderful. That's
that was my
fantastic.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I smell that over here.
It come right through the airwaves.
We were supposed to
Dang.
have Sheriff Brett Carpenter on this week.
Yeah.
He's busy, so we're going to try to do that one, in the coming weeks, and get him on to get talk
Let
about
me
it.
down,
That's
Brett.
fine.
Get him
He's
on to get
busy
to talking
saving
about
lives, okay?
get him talking about bull riding and law enforcement. So
Yeah.
we'll get him on here
Yes.
soon. I do got something here. Let me see if I can pull this up. I'm still slow on this thing. Somebody sent us something, guys.
Oh.
Old Jake.
I think I know what's coming.
Oh, no.
I think I know what's coming, and I am going to fall out of my seat whenever I get the response.
I think so. I think so.
We got a super fan there in Indiana.
Yep.
Old Mr. Jake Sloan. He sent us a little something. Check this out.
She told you she loved you and that she wanted you. Then just like that, she tried to kill you. With some gardening and a fireball. Then she tried to choke you with candy. Where are you tonight? I'm glad you left me here all alone. I found another and poop, you was gone.
They said poop, you were gone.
Poop, you was gone.
Oh
Poop,
my
you was gone,
God.
Kayla.
Lordy Jesus, help us all.
That's what happened to Kayla a little bit ago. Poop, he was gone.
And Poopy was gone.
My question is, has the man ever heard of pitch? I mean, goodness.
Have you ever heard of pitch?
The funniest part was the choke you with candy.
Yes, choke you with candy.
Like,
Like,
of
where
all the things I
heck?
could kill you with, or even just
He's
choke
gonna-
you with, I want to choke you with candy.
Choke you with candy.
Jake's a
I
very
know.
creative man.
I know. All I'm picturing are these huge, giant jawbreakers, like shoving them down your
Just
Well,
loading it like you're loading an AR-15. So we're back to doing.
Okay.
So much for a serious topic tonight.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, that's the problem with us. If we get serious, we end
And
up
well, the thing is-
laughing and being crazy
I
and
know.
inappropriate. So,
I know.
We end up just having a good time. That's all there is to it.
Yep.
it's true.
If it stops being a
Okay.
good time, we stop doing the show. As far as I'm concerned.
That's true. I agree.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly right. So
We are. this is the first time we've done one that's not live in 2 episodes. Our past 2 episodes have been live on Facebook.
Yeah,
So we're back to doing it the normal way. We are putting a video aspect into the show. So when we upload these, if people want to watch them, obviously if they're watching this one now, that it's been uploaded to Facebook or YouTube, something like that. I've actually had people come to me and be like, I enjoy, or I know of people that enjoy watching podcasts.
Yes.
In fact, John Hopkins told me, he's like, if I have something to just listen to, I get bored of it. But he said, if I can watch it and see the facial expressions and all that, he said, I prefer that. Our favorite childhood church camp is going on as we speak.
Yes.
It will be it will be over by the time this episode comes out. Mm-hmm. And I've been watching some of it live on Facebook, which I never thought they would ever permit in there.
No kidding.
That is true.
But they've got a guy, and he's just been broadcasting some of the sermons and all that. So I've been watching it, and this is the show or the camp that we've talked about on at least 2 episodes.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Many times have we referenced this camp.
And I get to thinking, I'll see the church tabernacle, which was where they have the services, and I'll hear the music and stuff. And even though I don't like that kind of music, it still brings back this wave of like nostalgia. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, I do. I get the same thing.
I'll watch it and I'll realize like, hey, I missed that.
Yeah.
But then I realize it's purely because of the nostalgia aspect is why I miss it.
Dang.
Yes.
And
Yep.
so I could go there, but it's not the same, and I wouldn't be received the same way.
It's true.
No.
It's not the same as it was when I was 11 years old. And
I
was
gotta
chasing
say-
everything that had a skirt on. You know what I mean?
I gotta say,
Yeah.
if
True.
we walked onto that campground now, we most certainly wouldn't be accepted the same way. They wouldn't let us on the campground, first of all.
It's very possible.
I
Yeah,
mean,
very
I walk in with a tattoo, all the way down my forearm, even though it's just my last name. I wouldn't be on the camp unless I wore a long sleeve shirt all the time.
Okay.
Which is kind of ironic to me because aren't we, I don't know, maybe supposed to love people like Christ loves people?
Now, see-
I don't know, just spitballing. How can they live with so much hate in their heart?
Now, see, Mariah, that's outrageous. Why would you ever think
Yes, you judgmental creep, you.
Well, I've never been to the camp, so I'm just pure speculating.
And we
It's-
if just walking on with beards now, with
Oh, my
full beard.
gosh.
I mean,
Yeah.
that was one thing they didn't like even back then.
Oh, yeah.
But we
That-
always just said,
That was a no-no as well, for sure.
yeah, absolutely. So
For sure.
Which that's just
you
pure
have-
idiotic.
Yeah. But going back to your topic about the camp and stuff, why do you and I feel like there's some, like you miss it? What is that pulls us? And it's honestly, I will say it is not the church services that pull you.
It's purely the nostalgia. I think it's the same
It's
reason.
the
like-
memories.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
memories. It's why I like to go to
exactly.
Cheat Mountain
Yes.
all the time.
Yes.
Yep.
That's why I like to go to Cass Railroad. I got great memories in those places.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few good services that I remember. I just put my foot on the microphone.
No, you're right.
But it's not like the real services. I remember all the good fellowship that we had, and we had a fun time talking and stuff. That was like my pure reasons for wanting to go back.
Oh yeah, man. And honestly too, if we didn't have the cabin,
Yes.
your mom and your mom's cabin, like if we went back there now, like I literally would feel like I had nothing because honestly, so many of those great memories were just in that cabin alone.
Oh yeah.
Mom Bev really did a lot of work and stuff on those
Oh, yeah,
in the
it's
cabin to
amazing
make it
cabin.
comfortable.
Yeah, that's
The
really what
parties that we had.
that's really what made it was, we could go up there and remember it'd always be like ungodly hot.
Oh yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
gracious.
it was terrible.
Usually always just beat the rain down like terrible at some point during the
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it always
yeah.
had a heck of a storm. But like we could go back to that cabin, and there was like 3 air conditions in that cabin, and it would just stay nice and cool. There was a full kitchen, there was a full bathroom, 2 bedrooms.
How
a
big was this
couch.
cabin?
It wasn't huge, but it was
No.
it was
It-
big for that campground.
It was like,
Obviously pretty big.
yeah.
Let me think.
It had a full kitchen. It had
What
2
size
bedrooms.
do you think that living room was? It was basically big enough for a couch.
Well, the living room was the
Yes.
old Clinton post office.
Yes, it was.
It had been a post office at one point.
Matter of fact, the door that's
Huh.
still in that cabin was the original Clinton post office front door.
Okay, so it had some, it had some historical meaning. But I can remember going back to the paranormal episode that we I think was just released
Right.
at the time that
Yes.
we're recording this, and those spooky stories and stuff we were telling about, and I can remember those guys coming in and telling us about the stuff that happened up at your camp, Canaan, and I can just
Yes.
remember like probably 10 of us all gathered in that cabin
Right.
at like 11
Yeah.
o'clock, maybe midnight. You know, we're just all sitting around in there, bunch of young people, and I remember just the memories of that. You know, and hearing these stories,
yeah.
and getting the crap scared out of me. That's a very fond memory of mine.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Now,
mine
that
too.
that kitchen. Would you say it was about a 10 or 12 by like 25 or so?
It was about as big as the kitchen in my house.
Yeah, it's a good sized kitchen.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a good-sized kitchen.
it was the bedrooms were, the one was big enough. I think it had a full size bed in it and like a
Mom's room.
dresser.
Yeah, mom's room
Then
had a
the-
full size.
And then the other one had a,
It was like a twin bed.
yeah, just like a little twin bed
Yeah.
thing.
Yep.
And so the bedrooms were just big enough basically to sleep in. And the living room had a couch. I think there was a little tiny like bench in there too, and then a bookshelf.
Yeah.
Mom
Yeah.
loves her bookshelves.
Yeah.
She did. She had all those wicked books in there too. They were not Christian, Holiness Christian books.
And then the bathroom just had it was a really small bathroom, but it had a one of those shower tub combos, and then obviously
Yeah.
the toilet and the sink. And
Yeah, and it was a hangout spot there.
yeah, it was
And-
it
It
was
was.
nice.
It
Do
was.
you guys remember when we had that movie with the brain rapist?
Oh yes,
Yes.
What
Burt,
was her
Yes.
name?
Burt Wonderstone.
Burt Wonderstone.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, that was
I
such a
do
good
remember that.
movie. We
Remember
laughed
that?
so hard.
That was a good
so
one.
hard on that movie.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yep. That was
Yeah,
really
that was
good.
awesome.
Because that
was
was
awesome.
actually the last year we attended that camp.
It was. We
Yeah,
were
I
like,
think so.
to heck
Yep.
with it.
We were
We're
up there by
done.
ourselves, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was just you guys and me and Kanan, wasn't it?
Yep.
Were you and Mariah weren't married yet, was you?
We had a couple
Yeah,
other people
Mariah-
with us.
Mariah wasn't there yet. She never got to go. So it was just me, you, Missy, and Phil. And I feel like there might have been maybe one or two other people.
You know, there's a lot of memories up there. And I remember, Kanan, you said on one of the past shows that cabin was also very centrally located.
It was.
Mm.
You could keep up
It
with
was.
all the gossip right there,
Yep.
man, because we were right by
Yeah,
the
you
chow
could.
hall. Everybody
Yep.
coming through there, we could stop and gossip with them.
You just had to walk up
Yeah.
the pavement on the
Well-
one side, and it would take you directly to the church. Like you were in the middle
Yeah.
of everything.
Yeah, if anybody wanted to go to church or the dining hall, they had to go by your cabin. So there's a lot of times we'd just be standing out there on that porch, and we'd be talking to people as they were walking by.
Yep.
Yep, it's true.
Well,
Yeah.
one thing I do remember about it too, we'd be sitting on that front porch or in the living room of that cabin in the AC, just taking it easy. Everybody's standing out there for like an hour waiting to go to the lunch hall. And then we
Yes.
just wait. We'd be sitting there all nice and cool,
Yep.
relaxed. And then when the line would go down, then we'd go get lunch.
Yep.
Yes, we did that a lot actually.
And people
Yeah,
might be
that was
wondering,
awesome.
because they've heard us basically roast this camp in the past.
Right.
We do have kind of a complicated relationship with it because we grew up there, so we have those childhood memories. But then, obviously, we started to notice some things that we didn't particularly care for, and that's not just that camp. And I've wanted to talk about this for a while.
Yeah.
I know we joke about a lot of things on the show. Like the other day, I joked about, the last time I drunk 2/5.
Yeah.
Bull crap. That doesn't happen. Okay. I don't sit
At
down.
least not two of them.
Yeah, at least not two of them.
Maybe.
So what I'm saying is, just because we joke about something crazy, and that's what we do.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
when we get together, it's a
Yes.
pure riot.
Right.
Oh my, yeah, it's insane.
It doesn't mean we're necessarily endorsing what we're joking about. So we come from this group of churches called the Conservative Holiness Movement.
Right.
Think it's safe to say that none of us are really in it anymore. Kanan, you guys kind of have a little special circumstance over there, right?
Right.
Yeah, probably a little bit more than most. Yeah.
So you guys go to a quote-unquote holiness church, but it's not like what we grew up in, correct?
Yeah, absolutely not. Our church is now the outcast. We are.
Well,
Legit,
now,
like you're
I mean, yeah. Oh, yeah.
The conservative holiness movement don't want anything to do with this. There's only one group that will associate with us, and we're just kind of the outcast now, which is fine. It's all
We
good.
have been, our church has been the best that it has ever been because of it.
And I'll tell
No
you,
thanks to them people.
I have not lost any sleep over this.
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and that goes right along.
Yeah.
I think I said this in an earlier episode that pretty much the reason why we're no longer with that outfit is because they lost sight of following God and started following their rule book.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's
Absolutely. Yeah.
honestly the reason why we all left.
Yep.
No, it's the truth.
Yep.
A bunch of.
That's why 90% of
Yeah.
the people that have left have left.
You're
Yeah.
exactly right.
It's true.
No
It's very
longer
true.
about following God. It's about following rules.
And they're man-made
Sad,
rules.
honestly.
You know.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's-
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So they each denomination that was involved in this this holiness movement was they they had the discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I've
man.
honestly
Yep.
never read one, but
Yes.
I've hate read a couple of
they
them.
yeah. So to be a member of this church, like, all right, you got a sign saying you're going to follow this book. It's like, okay, where's this rule at in the Bible? Well, where's this?
Yep.
Rule?
Yes.
Well, we're doing this rule just in case. You know?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
in case. And it's like, but it causes me to not be able to witness to people like what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
So I don't,
Right.
you know, when it starts doing that, then I'm out. I'm done.
Well, we all left. Now, Canaan didn't. You guys left. I mean, let's be honest. You're even. Your church is really not considered conservative holiness. I mean, they still have some of the same beliefs. So I think it's safe to say
Some
that all
people
five
have
of us
some
are
of the
gone.
same beliefs.
Yes. Yeah. It's safe to say that all five of us are no longer
Oh yeah.
in that movement.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
No.
I don't consider myself a quote holiness Christian anymore, and I'm a Christian, but I'm not.
Right.
That's the thing. You'll think sometimes like, well, what denomination are you? I don't really have one. What brand? It's like, no, I'm a Christian, dude. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
That's all I know to tell you.
I
That's
believe
it.
in Jesus that He saves me, and that's all you need to know.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
That's all there needs to be, though.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The
Well,
way I've
you know-
always said it was that I'm a Christian, and if anybody else is following the same God I am and following with their whole heart, we can worship together because
Absolutely.
there's no
Absolutely.
titles.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
There's no
Absolutely.
reason why we shouldn't be able to.
Absolutely.
There's no reason.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason
Like
whatsoever.
like we hear almost every Sunday. No two walks are going to be the same.
Yeah.
So there's going to be things that you can do that I can't, and there's going to be things that I can do that you can't.
That is correct.
Right.
So stop trying to fit us in this little freaking box
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
just because we're not associated or we're not like confined to your rule book because
Yeah.
it's a bunch of BS.
Yep.
Exactly. The reason I really wanted to bring this up, because I know that there is, because I've met them,
Yeah.
people that grew up this way that now struggle terribly.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Oh, yeah.
they think,
Oh, yeah.
okay, if I want to be a Christian, I have to live this life of, like a Pharisee, basically, and I got to follow all
Yes.
these rules, and I can't have any
Yep.
fun. And so they think, well, if that's it, I want nothing. I was actually just talking to a guy the other day. He's like, Phil, I couldn't do it. Not the way they portrayed it.
Right.
But then he was
Yeah.
also telling me, he's like, I started stepping out myself. I started double checking some things and looking in Scripture. And he's like, now me and God's in good shape.
Yeah.
But it's not the same
And that's
way.
all that matters.
That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and that's
Yep.
like, me and Phil's, we grew up in a church and we saw it happen. The pastor's kids just, ventured out.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Oh, yeah.
people comes out of, this conservative holiness movement that's got such strict rule books
Yes.
and all that. And they'll be drunkards. They'll be, on drugs because
Yeah.
they were just so tied down.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then, they
Yes.
become an adult and they're like, I absolutely want nothing of that. But and the church didn't associate with anybody else that were sensible Christians.
No, not at all.
You wouldn't allowed to.
Yep.
So a lot of them, like Phil was saying, didn't know that there was another way because
Yes.
it was just pounded in their head. This is what you have to do. You can't go any other way. So then they become an adult and they're like, I can't live this way. I'm miserable. Depression was rampant in that.
Oh
in
my
that, in the
gosh.
conservative holiness
That
movement.
is so true.
Yes,
And-
Oh, yeah.
But it's not something that's talked about.
No.
You know, let's keep it under the rug.
No. If
Let's
you're
keep it
depressed,
under-
if you're depressed, you ain't doing something right.
Yo.
That's what it was said.
Oh yeah.
So, they come out of that and they're like, I'm depressed. I hate this. I can't do anything. I'm out. And then they just go do whatever they want to do because they're like, well, if I'm not going to be a Christian, why should I still follow any of this stuff? And
Yeah.
they just go do whatever they want to do. And it's honestly, in my opinion, hurting more people than it is helping.
I would say
Yes.
I've asked myself that question many times. Obviously, I don't know how many people's getting saved under it, but I do know they've hurt a crap load of people. A crap
yeah.
load.
Right. The Holiness Church ends up making it like this unattainable thing. Like you can't stay saved. If you mess up, you've backslid, and like the redemption part of it is completely gone.
Yes.
Well, let's get
It's
in.
something that we've. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Mariah. I'm sorry. I stepped all over you there.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say that it's what almost every holiness, not everyone, but 90% of every holiness church is lost sight of, and that's grace.
I would
Yes.
say
Absolutely.
it's very much lacking. And let's go ahead and get into some specifics. If you guys want to say names, you can say names, and I can take them out later. I don't want us to.
Okay.
Okay.
If we want to just call out stuff, that way we're not
Yeah.
as nervous trying to say things. So I can bleep everything out later. It's the main reason I
Yes.
wanted to do this one,
Right.
not live. We'll get into some specifics about this because there are people that are watching. I mean, we got listeners in Texas and Oregon and Washington, all over the place that have no idea who we are.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's tell them a little bit what these oppressive rules were. Okay, and some people,
Oh, boy.
some people
Yeah.
gonna get a good yuck out of this because they were nuts, they were crazy. But this
Oh,
is
yeah.
the way that we were expected
To live. Yes. This was
Gotcha.
like, according to the Bible, this is the rules we had to follow in order to make it to heaven. If we didn't do
Yes.
them, because they were God inspired, given to man rules,
Yes.
it's nuts. Like it really is. When we started to think about it, like we have been doing today,
They
I'm just
did.
shocked.
They did a heck of a spin on the way they portrayed those rules.
Oh,
Yes.
they were very
to
good
make
at that.
them
Oh, yeah.
sound like these come directly from God and you have to follow it. And it's not even close to being the case. I mean,
No.
there is a list of rules in the Bible. There are things that you have to follow.
Right.
But there's not a book that says I can't listen to my radio other than to get the news.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
You're exactly right.
Exactly.
Do you want to start going through some stuff?
Well, I was thinking, Canaan, why don't you go first? I know you've got some on top of your head that you can think of. What's some of the rules that you no longer follow that you had to abide by?
Oh, dude, there's a list of them, man. There was movies. There was no movies were allowed of any kind, really.
Uh-huh.
And
why was that?
Because you might see something bad.
because you could not watch the boob tube. Because,
They would call it that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because anything that was played on any type of screen was going to have all kinds of nudity all
Yes,
over. That's all it was
yeah.
going to be.
That was all Hollywood put out.
Yeah.
Was like boobs, boobs,
Can
boobs.
I just say that I did not get TV until we were late. We were late in our married life. I got it like 2 years ago.
Like meaning actual cable.
Yeah, actual cable.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I was watching these commercials, and I kept thinking to myself, there is going to be a commercial that's just going to be filthy, and I'm going to have to get rid of this TV. Well, we had it. We had this TV for, I don't know, a couple years, and there was not once a bad commercial
Dude.
that came across that I was just like,
Yep.
oh my
It's
god.
called the FCC, and they
Yes.
don't know nothing about it.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
the Viagra
yeah,
commercials
so
aren't
true.
even filthy.
Yeah.
Because
So
that was
there
one of the
then there
talking
was-
points we heard, right? Was, well, even if you do watch clean shows, the commercials are
Yes.
filthy.
What?
Yeah,
what?
absolutely.
Did they never heard of the Bible Network?
Oh.
Well, those weren't holiness people, so you couldn't
Murder
watch
and
them.
That's right.
sex
Yeah.
all over
Couldn't
the
watch them.
place.
Yeah, man, so you weren't allowed to
there-
watch movies. What else?
What? Also, no music allowed other than Southern gospel. And I don't want to Well, I'm not.
Bella.
I won't mention. I won't mention his name, but I did not even like contemporary Christian music because of the beat. Can you imagine?
Oh yeah, that was.
Oh, I
sinful.
heard that one preached many times.
Yeah, it's like. So that was a big one. There was also now my family were a little bit less lenient when it came to like short sleeves and stuff. I remember I was allowed to wear short sleeves all summer long until around the end of June when we would go to camp.
Mhm.
And my dad wanted me to wear 3/4 lengths and long sleeves. That way, everybody there in the would think that I was wearing long sleeves my whole life. When in reality, I wasn't.
That's a lie.
So what we were doing, a lot of people want to sugarcoat it and say, well, he was trying to have respect. I like to sugarcoat it and say, no, you're just lying to him.
Yes. Yes.
Let me
Yeah,
sugarcoat
queen.
this for you. So that's just a few that off the top of my head.
Well, the short sleeves thing.
But you have to remember, it was easy for you boys. You boys had it easy.
Yes,
true.
it's so
Yeah, we did.
true.
We did
So when
that.
it came to, as they called it, your dress, how you should dress.
They're standard, actually.
That's it.
Your
Yes,
standard.
Standard. There was a lot more rules that pertained to women, and they were a lot more strict.
Oh, yes.
Because
Uh-huh.
being
Oh,
a
yeah,
man,
absolutely.
I can just wear jeans, and as long as I got a 3/4 length T-shirt and got my hair where it's not, long.
Can't be
and-
touching your ears or
Yeah.
down laying on your neck.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I look like a normal man, like a man you meet on the street anywhere. Just
Yep.
about.
It's true.
Absolutely.
No
Yes.
problem.
Yes.
And then the women, it's like, you can't do anything to look beautimous.
Oh, yeah.
You dare try.
Yeah, no. Should be bringing in
You will
that
be
beautiful.
prideful if you don't.
It's true.
Oh,
It's
that
true.
was such a big.
Oh my
oh
gosh.
my Lord, they would.
It's almost disgusting.
It is.
So what were some things they preached about for the guys?
Well, the guys, one of them was like Kanan said, short sleeves. You had to wear
Okay.
something down below the elbow.
Right.
Not all of them followed this. The more level-headed ones didn't follow that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That wasn't a big issue. But for the churches I grew up in, it was absolutely, your sleeves had to be down past your elbows.
Right,
And
because
some of
your
the guys-
elbows look like boobs.
I've actually heard that.
Yes.
People think we're joking. I've actually heard that
No.
said.
Yes. We were talking
Yes.
to Byron
Yes.
about this, and
Yep.
Byron was like, wait, what? What are you talking about? And like, we were like, no, seriously, people actually thought your elbows look like boobs.
But that right there it proves to you that, especially the rules made up about the women's clothing standard,
Oh, we haven't started on the women yet.
was made up. Well, that's true. But,
We'll get
but
there.
that
We'll
rule
get there.
there was made up because somebody had a legit problem.
Yes.
And
I
would say
instead
so.
of
Oh my gosh.
dealing with their own problem, they're like, I'll make a rule, and then that way I don't have
Yep.
to work at it now.
Yep, exactly.
It all got so
You're getting ahead of yourself.
Yes.
it all got so legalistic.
Yep.
You couldn't, and something else we haven't touched on. Men also couldn't do. You couldn't wear a wedding band because that
No,
was
absolutely not.
that was supposed to be costly apparel.
How much did your ring cost?
$15.
Yeah, thank you.
That
Doggone,
will
dude,
barely
my-
buy you a sandwich at McDonald's.
Yes.
My haircut cost more than that.
And see, that's the thing. A preacher could get up
Yep.
in a very fancy suit, very nice shoes.
Yes.
But he's not in costly
yeah.
apparel. But if I went and bought,
He could even wear a gold watch.
yeah, he could have a nice watch
Yeah.
on, whatever.
Yeah.
But if I had a $15 titanium ring that I got off Wish or wherever mine came from,
Yeah.
then I am in costly apparel and I can't be wearing it. Even though it talks about in the Old Testament when the prodigal son came home, it says that the father put a ring on his hand. And you know what I've actually had told to me? No, that wasn't on his finger. It says it was on his hand.
Oh my gosh.
That was
No
Right.
way.
Yes, indeed. They're like, this
Yep,
ring
I heard
actually
that
went
too.
around his hand, his whole hand. I'm like, what?
Wow.
Do you think these people were retarded?
Where are we supposed to put it
Oh,
on
yeah.
the hand?
I know.
Right on your thumb.
So what do we do?
I'm confused.
Can we,
Like, seriously.
can Can we go into some biblical things and like actually start bringing out scripture verses?
No, it's the women's
Wait,
turn.
now it's the women's turn. Come on.
Yeah.
We're the minority.
Please
Girl
excuse
power.
us.
Yes.
Yeah, queen.
I forgot we got to please the women. I forgot we got to please the women.
Yes. So,
Yeah, you ladies go in.
Go
You all
ahead,
had it
Mariah.
much worse than we did.
No,
go
you
ahead.
go ahead. You start because yours are probably way worse than mine.
it was very bad. So I was a part of a very, very strict, I think more strict than even Phil and Jonathan
Way
and
more
Kanan.
strict than
Oh,
that.
And even
absolutely,
yours.
100%.
So with ours, we had to have skirts that were like below the knee when we sat down. Okay, that's reasonable. But they could not be the ones that have like the zipper in the front. Like it could not look like jeans at all.
Couldn't be
what?
men's apparel.
Yeah, because you have no use for it. So why do you have a zipper on? And I'm like, to put it on. Like, you mean
How else are you
this?
supposed to get it over this fat butt?
So I actually had friends that would remove the stitching around it so they could hide that the zipper was there.
Holy cow.
Okay.
Shut
That's
up.
insane.
They would also get mad because they had like ones that had pockets along the back, and the pockets drew attention to your butt.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there was always
So-
that.
Heard that.
So whenever you remove the pockets, I'm sorry. Do you know the color difference from that which has like been washed multiple times and bleached in the sun? So now they have these darker blue patch-shaped things on their butts.
So then you are getting attention.
So then you are getting attention on your butt
Because
versus
they're like there's supposed to be something there
Yeah.
and it's no longer
And now
there.
you're
Now
just
I got to
like
stare at it and try to
so
figure out what happened.
furious.
Now I
I
gotta
know.
stare at this
Bullseye
bubble
for
butt
me.
to see what's up.
That was awful.
That was a bullseye for me. I could look at it.
Yes, I could give you a reason to look at people's butts, didn't it, Kanan?
Do you know
Exactly right.
when you're a 15-year-old dude that's just come through puberty, do you know what draws attention to a woman's butt? Her butt. You don't need anything. There's nothing.
Yeah,
There's
Yeah, you don't need
nothing.
nothing else.
Yeah.
exactly.
I don't care if she's
Yeah,
got
Kanan walked
pockets.
into a pool looking at mine.
I did. And she was in
like-
a skirt too.
See? You know?
They-
Yeah,
didn't do
it
nothing.
does not matter. So for girls too, we could not wear those undershirts that had the little like had lace on it or something
Oh yeah.
because it looked like you were trying to tease like your underclothes garments,
Oh, boy.
and you had to have the
Oh.
like only
Not the tease.
yeah. Only
Tease
the
me like you
top
mean to
button.
please me.
Yes.
The top button, like you could leave one button undone. So, and then you could have your shirt like with that.
What if my shirt only has 2 buttons?
Wow.
Then you better keep them both buttoned.
Yeah.
It sounds like to me that you actually had to go to college just to learn how to dress with this organization.
Pretty
You
much.
did. We actually had a class where I was in. That's another topic where you.
Oh, we're
need
gonna
talk
hit on
you
about.
that before it's over.
I was just
Oh, yeah.
joking.
No, I'm serious. I'm serious. So at Bible college, we were fitted for these like uniforms, and we had to look just so perfect, and everybody had to be matchy.
And did you actually have a class on this? On
Yeah,
how to dress?
Yeah, they were told us like different things that we had to do to look modest and look presentable. It was a home ec class. Yeah, I won't say
Wow.
people's names and stuff, but
Yeah, that's fine.
so and then they would have the dorm mom who would have us to, check us out, make sure our clothes were acceptable and like all this stuff. So while we were getting fitted for this choir outfits, they made I could wear a size 4 shirt, a little tight, so maybe a size 6. Okay, a size 6 shirt and a size 4 skirt. And this is back when I was like 127 pounds.
Okay.
I was super skinny.
I ain't seen 127 since I was born.
That's how I came into this world, was 127.
So I was skinny, and they put me in a size 12
Oh my.
jumper and a size 14 jacket.
Holy cow.
Have mercy.
So I was like, okay, I'm swimming in this thing, like literally swimming. I could grab the sides of it, and it was like all the way up to here. So I had probably 8 inches on either side, like of fabric.
Wow.
So just so it was not like framing my boobs. It was so high.
Gee.
The
They didn't
neck.
want to see them breasts.
Oh my gosh. I was like, well, okay. So, like, it's up to here on me, legit. Like, so my collarbone is like right here, right? So I can wear something and be modest. No, it was up to here. I had a like burn from it rubbing so hard.
Were they
on my
trying to
neck.
make him choir robes or what?
But that would have been a little more presentable. A little more
Yeah,
presentable.
they could have actually pulled that
Yes.
look off.
Yeah, if they wanted to, if they wanted choir robes, we could have looked really good. Because the song always says the girl in the angel choir in the robe. Remember? Stop it. Stop. I'm
knew it was
done.
coming.
I'm done.
So you guys had to dress in clothes that were how many
Specially
sizes
made.
too big? Several sizes.
At least two to 4 sizes too big for us. So, and what I mean by that was like I was a size 4 to 6. I wore a size 12.
So they basically didn't want you. They would say you're not showing off your womanly figure.
Right.
A quick little hit on that is you can obviously keep your parts covered, but you can't hide them.
No, you can't.
I mean, tissue will only
Well,
compress so
you
far.
can-
You could wrap duct tape around your chest, and you're still going to have boobs.
Right.
Like it's
Well,
going to
the
happen.
thing is you can hide them. You just have to wear size 12 and 14 clothing.
Let me tell you, I like vanished. I went into this flat thing that had no body whatsoever.
Yeah. So then, whenever you're touring with this choir and you go to a church, there's some boy in the back row like, I want some of that ain't got no body.
but
So they had. It was. You cannot hide if you're a male or a female. You can be dressed up like you said, and everybody's going, that's still a woman. You know what I mean? That's still a woman. So they can do all this stuff, but God made us different. Okay,
He did.
I'm supposed to
Absolutely.
realize what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
I don't mean I'm sitting there like and just boy, I'd like to get me a piece of that. And not only this, they made a lot of the ones in the more stricter denominations.
Right.
The women also had to wear hose. So you had,
We did. We had to wear hose like all the time. There were girls that would actually tan their legs so it looked like they had hose on.
which is all that hose does, by the way.
Exactly.
It's makeup for your legs.
How many?
Yeah, seriously.
How many years have they talked? Because I remember we used to listen to them old time radio shows.
Mm-hmm.
They'd talk about a woman's tanned leg.
Yeah.
In them shows from like the 30s.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So that's what hose does.
It is. Yep.
It's makeup. for your legs.
Yes. They're perfect.
Because they would say, well, you're completely covered. Okay, you got to dress almost to the floor. I
Yep.
think that's good enough.
It was to my ankles.
Yeah.
That skirt.
But
that
then you got to
jumper.
wear the hose. And it's like, okay, so
Wow.
let's think this through for a minute. So you say that now she's covered and modest because she's got hose. Could she wear a whole suit made of hose? No, because hose does nothing for modesty. It's skin high tight.
Yes.
And they would not realize
true.
that.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
true.
Yeah, it is very true. Let's see. Another thing too, we couldn't do makeup. You can't cut your hair. You
Not even trim it. Like
Yeah,
you
no.
do not. No,
No, nothing.
absolutely not. If your hair is to your knees, you left it there.
mine. I could
Dude.
step on in the shower whenever I leaned my head back and was washing it. It was that long.
That's crazy.
My goodness.
Yeah.
That's
So,
So-
Bill, actually, now that they talked about hair cutting, dude, you ought to pull out them scripture verses, man.
Well, yeah, I do got some here to talk about it because that was one of the big things. Hair
Yeah.
on both men and women was
Yes, yes.
I mean, it was a make or break situation.
Oh,
If you did not follow these rules,
absolutely.
you're out. You're
Right.
out.
You're done.
You're going to hell. So they would say that the Bible says that a woman can't trim her hair. They would say that the Bible says that a man can't have long hair. I've also heard some people make the thing, well, that's why a man can't have a beard because it's long hair. It's like
Yes.
bull crap. There's stronger words I want to say right now, but I'm not going to say them.
Exactly.
Well, I can
Yes.
tell you,
Yes.
when we get on this subject, I get furious
yeah.
I do too.
because
yeah, same.
of, like I said earlier, I feel like it's hurting more people than it's helping. and
It's
Absolutely.
destroying people's lives.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yes.
And like I said, I mean, obviously those people, know not to commit suicide, that kind of thing, but the depression level
Oh,
from
yeah.
this,
Oh, my
I mean,
gosh,
I mean,
yes.
this is that kind of stuff is legit oppression.
Well-
these people are oppressed in this conference.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they,
Oh yeah.
they're so miserable in it, but there again, they haven't been allowed to socialize,
Yeah.
so they don't know that there is
Right.
another way that you
Yep.
can make it.
Yep. And that.
Oh, I have friends who have left that. Even they would probably still consider themselves holiness, but they're not radical by any means. They're very, very level-headed people who have told me that they're still traumatized by their past of how to do things and how they are supposed to live and how they never measured up to their standards, that they still have anxiety over doing some things that, number one, are nowhere near wrong
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so
because
true.
they're traumatized by this wicked people.
Yep.
Well, and even you said there was depression, or whatever in there. I think they were also depressed. Not, there's a lot of reasons, but I think the other one is because they were following these rules that they really couldn't explain of why they were following. It was just the leaders of the organization said this is what they're going to do.
Yep.
But then they didn't even feel like they had a loving father that wanted them to do it because they had no
Right.
relationship with God.
Yes.
So it was just
so
literally
true.
It was
Oh, man.
it was like
I have
they
never
were
heard
so
it put like that before.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it's true.
I 100% get it, and I agree with you. I just like that. That is a powerful statement because that exactly sums it up. Because you're 100% right. There was no personal walk,
Yeah.
No.
like
Yeah.
like what they're supposed to be.
Yep.
There was to a
There
certain
was
aspect,
no healing.
Yeah.
but as far as it being your personal walk with God, that was I felt like that was kind of gone.
God was always
Oh, yeah.
portrayed as this guy, this big man in the sky, that as soon as you slipped up one time, you were
Yes.
bound for hell.
Yep.
Yes.
It's so
And
true.
what's
It's so
insane
true.
is that this is something that struck me this past Sunday. Somebody was mentioning in church about we always talk about the balm of Gilead, and this is something which number one is insane that it's never been described this way because nobody believes in healing apparently.
Yeah.
But it's a balm of Gilead was meant to be for healing.
Yeah.
So not only is he our balm, he's our healer, he's our protector, but he gives us grace. But God forbid we talk about that. Why don't we talk about the grace that he's given us, the healing from the depression
Yes.
and moving on.
Yep.
It's like people want you to stay there because you're better off just stay right where you're at.
We were going to get into some of the scripture
Yes.
verses about some things. So Kanan actually asked me to do this. I wasn't planning on doing it. I'm glad he asked me to.
Yeah.
Now we got a little bit of a basis to go off of. We're not just on here just ranting and raving and not have anything to back it up with.
Right.
So they say that a woman cannot cut her hair. I've heard it preached 1,000 times.
Right.
Women, keep the scissors out of your hair, bless God, and stuff like that. That's how.
Which there's a story on that too, and I feel like I'm really putting a lot into this podcast
It's
for
okay.
some
Fine,
reason, because Christians aren't just blessed to not have cancer.
Right.
We still get it. It still
Oh, yeah.
happens.
Sure.
And there's two different instances, two women that, and I can't remember the one, but the one lady used to go, she went to the same camp that we always went to.
I don't know if we can say it. Something.
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't remember her first name.
Remember her? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember what
Very
kind
nice lady.
Don't remember what kind of cancer she had, but of course she had to take radiation, chemo treatments.
Yeah.
She lost all of her hair.
Of course.
So she goes, and wigs are expensive.
They
Yes.
are.
When you
Oh,
buy a
absolutely.
legit
Oh, yeah.
wig, they are expensive.
Yep.
And she don't want to just, go around with
With a bald head.
Yes,
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, it's bad enough you don't have any eyebrows. Now you don't
I
have
know.
any hair
Right.
either. She goes and she buys the longest wig that she can afford,
Yeah.
which is right around shoulder length.
Yeah.
It was a blonde wig, which she had blonde hair to begin with. She was on the upper end of her middle age, but she still, had her natural hair color.
Right.
So she went and bought a wig that was the same color.
Mm-hmm.
It was just about shoulder length, and people would not speak to her.
Are you serious?
They would not speak
What?
to
Because
her
of the wig,
at
yeah.
this campground. They knew
Yep.
that she had cancer.
Yeah.
They knew that she was
Yeah.
taking chemo.
Oh man.
Because the camp before that is when she started losing her hair. This was a
Yes.
year later.
Yes.
That enrages
And
me.
they would not
That's
speak to her
ridiculous.
because they're like, you won't keep the scissors out of your hair. Are you kidding me?
They accused her of
I've
cutting
been
her hair.
taking chemo treatments for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing a wig so I feel and look somewhat normal.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're going to give me such issue over that. And then there was another one that I remember a preacher talking about. And I don't remember the preacher, but it was his daughter that had breast cancer. So she had to take chemo treatments as well.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing happened. But she was fortunate enough to be able to buy a wig that was long enough that she could fix it like normal.
Uh-huh.
Well, when her hair started growing back in, it got so long that she couldn't wear the wig over top of her hair.
Uh-huh.
So she had to just quit wearing it. She was in the bathroom with a couple women, and she was so aggravated. I remember him saying she was just aggravated because she couldn't get her hair to fix. And she made the statement. She was like, I hate this. I just can't get anything. I can't get my hair to stay. I can't fix it like I want.
Yeah.
And one of those other two women that was in the bathroom with her said, well, if you'd keep the scissors out of it, you wouldn't have to worry about it.
Old bat.
Oh,
That's terrible.
my gosh.
These are true
Wow.
stories. I promise you.
Oh my
These are
gosh.
true stories.
Those people will be held accountable one day.
100%.
Oh my
They will.
gosh.
That's one of the main things I want to make sure we hammer on. These are not suggestions.
Yeah.
Okay, I could be more lenient, and Kanan, you can attest to this too, and Mariah, I'm sure as well. If they would just come around and be like, "Hey, this is what we think. If you differ from us, that's okay. We're still." That's not the way it's portrayed.
No.
This
No.
has to be this way, or you will be looked down on. You'll be shunned. You're on your way to hell because you're not following what
Right.
we think Scripture says.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And,
Right.
and can I
And-
can I say something too before we get any further and before we whenever we wrap this up? I just want to throw this in so everybody knows if the standards is if they could come to us and approach us with love and kindness
Yeah.
and say, hey, this is what we would like. This is where you catch more flies with honey.
Exactly.
That's what-
Mm-hmm.
And but whatever. But when they cram, and then people say, "Oh, I don't think it's the standard why the young people is leaving." Well, yes, it is, because when you approach them with anger and hate,
Yes.
and then try to cram something down their throat that isn't even biblical,
Oh, yeah.
you're not going to keep your young people around. You're just
No.
not.
No.
Not with young
Yeah.
people that have questions anymore. Now, if you can come to them and be like, "Hey, this is what we prefer. We love you. You're awesome. We want you to stick around here," man. I would probably fall in line a little easier, but when you come with me and start shoving stuff down my throat, whatever, no, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
Yep.
And
You know what I'm saying?
and churches that were kind of lenient on that stuff, like I can remember I remember preachers preaching against the signs at a church saying, "Come as you are."
Oh yeah.
They don't mean that.
Oh yeah.
They don't mean that.
Like,
Because if they meant that, people could come in with their pants, their makeup,
Yes.
their
Well, that's
cut
what he's
hair,
saying. These
and
guys
whatever.
were preaching
Yeah.
against that.
yeah,
Oh, really?
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, I misunderstood
honestly-
that.
Yes, they said I don't remember exactly what they said, but they were preaching against churches should not have that because they're like, well, then you're going to let the homosexuals in your church, and you're going to let
Oh, yeah.
You should.
Oh, yeah.
They should be there.
Exactly.
They should feel welcome.
Exactly, because
Yeah, they need
Jesus
to do
did
that.
not fellowship with the scribes and the Pharisees.
No.
He went into
No.
what was the highways and the hedges,
Yeah,
is how
highways
it
and
said in the
byways.
Bible. That's who he went after because the well have no need for a doctor.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know?
exactly
Exactly.
right.
And
Exactly.
I mean, so like I went to this last Sunday was the first week I went to this church that Mom and Phil going to. There are people in the platform. The one guy had long white hair, probably down past his shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Guy playing the drums
That's awesome.
had a big beard.
Yep.
And then the girl playing the piano, she had a dress on. There's a lady playing the guitar, had a pantsuit on. There's all different types
Yeah.
of people,
Yep.
but they come there and they were so excited to
About
serve
Jesus.
God,
They were very
Oh my
serious.
gosh,
have
yes.
that
Yep.
worship.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
I got so excited just watching them get so excited
Yep.
because
Like they were jumping
Aw.
up and down, serving God, and just like doing
I haven't-
exactly
It
what
was
God
beautiful.
wanted.
I
It
have
was
not
lovely.
seen that. Have
was
not
great.
seen that kind of service
Yep.
in years because people
Yes.
were so free. They were
Yep.
not oppressed, as we said earlier, saying they
Oh,
had
so
to
true.
act or dress a certain
Yes.
way.
Yep.
They put on whatever they had. There was a girl sitting in front of us had on shorts.
Yeah.
Yep.
But she still participated in the service because she was part of their youth group. She had went to these to some youth convention and that kind of stuff, and she's serving God.
Yep.
You know, I get it asking
Oh, it's so
people to
true.
dress modest.
Yep.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But you can't expect
Yeah.
that if you want people to come in from the outside.
Exactly.
Exactly right.
Ask them to, just request, hey, could you dress modestly? But as far as cramming it down your throat, you have to wear long sleeves and you have to wear a skirt and
Yep.
you have to wear your hair up. This church does not do that. And when them people come in there, the only thing on their mind is worship, and it was amazing.
It's all about Jesus. I don't even
Yes.
I don't even want a church, me personally, I don't even want a church asking people to be modest. Come
Yeah.
in as you are.
Yes.
That's the way I think about it.
What I'm thinking of when I say modest is like, people sitting there in like
Keep
a
your
thong
cracks covered.
bikini, yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
But
you
if
know
they're
what I
out
mean?
there in the
Yeah.
world and there's somebody that's walking the street that night doing her profession and she decides to stumble into church dressed actually like a
Oh
prostitute.
no!
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
turn her
She
away.
should feel no judgment, no, and that's what I'm saying. So, Jonathan's pointing out how these different people were dressed. That's because all of those people, every person a part of that church, would not be welcome to participate in leading the worship
Oh, it's so
services
true.
at the
Yep.
churches we grew up
Oh,
in.
yes.
And
Yep.
it's disgusting.
Oh, no.
While we're on that, shout out to Pastor Howard
Swick.
Swick
Yep.
and Bonita Swick. They're
Yes.
pastor in the Haven of Hope Worship Center.
You talk about
And
a
Philippi.
heart for people. They
been
really
loving it.
take, oh my gosh, they
been loving
really
it.
take
Yes.
their ministry to heart. Like, it reminds me a lot like my parents. Because
Yeah.
my parents, they really, really would go out there and reach out to anybody. My dad would bring in people from like the school bus run when he worked with the school buses. My dad would also bring in like homeless people that were going out drinking. He's like, hey, you want to learn about Jesus? He said, I'll buy you a drink. They're like, okay, sure. My dad would get him a Coke.
See, that's dirty right there.
He has such a way with just walking up to some random person.
Oh
on the
my
street,
gosh.
And before you know it,
It's the truth.
he has them in church.
Yep.
Yes.
Crazy.
We'll get into some of these scripture verses.
Sorry to keep pulling you off topic.
Here's the one where I'm going to read it to you. It's in 1 Corinthians chapter 11. If we go to verse 5, it says, "But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonors her head, for that is even all one as if she were shaven." I'm reading out of King James. That's what we were raised. It's hard to understand. But it's saying, for her to be praying and stuff, that her head should be covered. That's what Paul was saying. Now, it's hard to distinguish with Paul what was cultural for
Yes,
that time.
I was just about ready to say cultural during that time. They were supposed to have their head covered because the men,
Yeah.
like they still have, like the Jewish, they still wear that yarmulke thing or whatever it is. They cover their head for any like religious thing, like for
Gathering.
the gatherings they have
Yeah.
or celebrating Hanukkah or whatever it is. They always have their head covered when they do the prayers and all that.
If we go on to verse 6, it says, "For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered." Okay, a lot of times they'll stop right there, or they'll go on a few more. And like I said, I don't know exactly what all those verses mean, but I start to get more clarity later on in the chapter. So if you skip on down to verse 13, it says, "Judge in yourselves, is it comely that a woman pray unto God uncovered? Doth not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him?" I don't know where Paul was getting that from because nature, to me, everything in nature, the male species has long hair, long feathers. I don't know what he's talking
They're
about.
the most
just
beautiful out of all the.
Like look at
Animals,
just
yeah.
right off. Look at lions.
Yeah, yeah.
Male lion,
Yes.
great big mane,
Yes.
Yep.
long hair. Female
Yeah.
lion, just normal
Yep.
hair that the male has on his body.
Right. So you go
Yeah.
on down. Here's where they would stop. "But if a woman have long
Yes.
hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering." And that's it. That's where they'd stop. That's it. See?
Yes.
And now, in what I just read, Does it say anywhere that she can't trim her hair?
No. It just says long hair is like given to her for a covering.
Exactly.
Okay.
Talks about, and it's given to her for glory. It don't
Right.
say she can't trim the dead ends
No.
or she can't style it a certain way or anything like that. Let me read verse 16, which is where I think all this goes away. He said, "But if any man seem to be contentious, we have no such custom,
Right.
neither the churches of God."
Right.
That verse was never said. To me, what that says,
it wasn't.
hey, if any of you's got a problem with it, all right, big deal. We're not fighting
We're
about
not
this.
fighting about it.
Yeah,
Let her
there-
go.
We're not fighting about it.
We're not saying you have to.
Yes,
Yep.
exactly.
And that, I honestly did not know that verse followed the rest of that, nor did I even necessarily remember hearing that verse until I was an adult.
Yes.
Yep.
And
Yep.
was making my own decision about things. And that's
Yes.
whenever I knew about it.
Yep. And
How
we'll go
dare
on.
you make your own decision?
I tell you, I'm such a rebel.
Yeah. True.
We'll go on to read the verse about modesty. Okay, This is in 1 Timothy chapter 2, I think verses 9 and 10. Likewise, also that women should adorn themselves in respectable apparel, with modesty and self-control, not with braided hair and gold or pearls or costly attire, but with what is proper for women who profess godliness with good works. I take that as, don't make that your emphasis. Okay, I don't think it's wrong for a woman to braid her hair. I think he's talking like, don't be let the emphasis of your attire be in, godliness and all this. So that's where they would come out with. So they would somehow springboard off of verses like this and say, "Oh, you got to have 3/4 length sleeves or long sleeves, and your dresses have to be 3 sizes too big, and you can't wear makeup." Oh, I used to hear this. There's women got enough paint on to paint a battleship and enough powder to blow it up.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, man. I tell you what, I wish I could go back to that sermon and hit the car crash button. Because I can remember hearing that too. I don't remember the part about enough powder to blow it up, but I remember the part about enough paint to paint a battleship.
Yep.
How stupid of a
That's the dumbest
statement.
thing I've ever heard.
It's
That's
retarded.
like the one that said, I'd rather have a sewer pipe, 10-inch sewer pipe sitting right in my living room, or
Bring that
instead
one
of
out.
a TV.
You gotta tell
You
that.
have to, Phil, you have to
Yes,
tell
I
this
forgot
one.
about that. We had to preach.
I know
'cause
you
a lot
did.
Of them, Kanan, a lot of them preached against the internet, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
this guy said, I would rather have a 6-inch sewer pipe
6, okay.
coming into my front living room than I would have the internet in my house. And this guy would
How
be,
much you want to bet he actually has the internet in his house now?
well, if he wants, I'll put the 6-inch
Well,
sewer pipe in.
how
I
much?
guarantee you he'll be taking it out and getting the internet real
much-
quick.
But this stuff was like that. It's the same thing. No TV. TV was a no-no. It was all.
Yeah, no TV. No, yeah.
They never preached. Kanan and me and you just talked about this not too long ago. They never preached self-control. And there was another big issue, and Mariah can speak to this one more than the rest of us can. Divorce and remarriage, you were outcast in certain groups. Now, some of them were split over this. Divorce and
Yeah.
remarriage, you might as well not even
Yep.
come to camp or come to church.
Oh,
I
Oh,
wonder
yeah.
when you're going
God.
to get
yeah.
there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Terrible.
You are a sinner.
Yeah, I mean, they would
naturally.
Fornicator.
they would preach that this was black and white. The Bible's very clear. Under no circumstances whatsoever can you get divorced and then get remarried. And this is how I used to believe, And then I started looking stuff up.
The only thing it talked about is if you marry someone who has committed fornication, then you become the fornicator. That's the only time it said anything about remarriage.
I've even heard.
Well, it also mentions when you're, being uneasily yoked to unbelievers.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's something that a lot of people don't talk about either. Is if you are married to an unbeliever and they leave you,
Then
by
you're
golly,
not bound.
yes, you do have the
Yep,
right
you
to
are no
go
longer
get remarried.
bound.
Heck
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
you do.
I never
Yeah,
heard
no
that
longer
verse
bondage.
preached one time.
Never.
Nope.
Never
No.
preached once. They
Nope.
And I actually just heard someone say that that just because that you have a spouse who is an unbeliever who left you, that still doesn't give you the right to get remarried.
Yeah.
Well, the
According to
Bible-
the
I'm
Bible,
like,
it
you
does.
are insane.
So,
Yep.
so you
Yep.
base it. So you're basically saying it's like, so you're still in bondage. Like in the I can't remember exactly. But
It says, "And be not in bondage."
Be not-
They
so
said
it's
that doesn't make you.
Yeah.
you're still not able to get
So
it.
you're able to get divorced, you just can't get remarried, and it's like, okay,
Right.
but you're still going
So
to be in bondage even if you're
Didn't
separated.
Paul say though, if you can't keep your body under control, then go get married?
He was
I'm gonna have to find that Bible.
I
verse
remember.
again.
I remember.
But there's something
this
about
may
that.
not be exactly how it went, but it was one part of it was it's better for man to live alone, but like
If they can't,
if
then-
they can't,
Then
Yeah.
go.
let them take themselves
Yeah.
a
Exactly.
wife.
Go
that
get a
was
wife.
Paul's opinion on it. Yeah, because
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
what we were talking about. So Matthew 5:32 mentions where Jesus is talking to them, and he said, whoever puts away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication,
Right.
and marries another commits adultery.
Right.
And when I read that, I was like, wait a minute, you just told me for years, all my life, that it's black and white, it's clear that this can never happen under any circumstances.
Oh, gracious.
And I have Jesus right here saying, yeah, there's a circumstance.
It like words are in red right in front of you,
Yeah.
and you've been preaching
Yep.
from this Bible, but you conveniently leave out that part every time.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is this here gives it, I believe that you can get remarried if certain things happen.
Well, it's
to
what
you.
Yeah.
the Bible says.
But the Bible says
Yeah.
that. I believe the Bible.
And what Mariah was even talking about, Paul mentioned in 1 Corinthians chapter 7. He's like, here's what he said. If the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or a sister is not under bondage in such cases.
Yep.
But God has called
Yes.
us to peace.
Right.
Now, what
Yes.
does that mean?
And how can you say that it doesn't mean that you like that doesn't even make sense in my brain?
So
It
you
doesn't.
have peace and you're no longer in bondage.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He said, you're
Sounds
not
like
bound
you're
to
a
them.
free man to me.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
told him in the verse before that, he's like, if they want to stay with you, don't run them off. But if they leave,
Yes.
they're an
Right.
unbeliever and they leave, then you're not
Yes.
bound to them anymore. So to me,
No.
that means let's go get you somebody.
Yeah.
Come on, let's roll. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yep.
Exactly.
Yes.
So these
Oh,
are
but you
So,
know
so
that
true.
there's those
Very
people that want to say that, it's
yeah.
okay that my dad cheated on my mom for 10 out of the 20 years they were married. She found stashes of porn in the back shed, and he had a secret girlfriend that whole time. Oh, but God forbid she get remarried and has the happiest life that any woman could ever have. And if somebody deserves to be happy, by golly, my mom does.
right.
Yeah, it's true.
Yep. Growing up, if you questioned the Bible, you questioned God, and you was rebellious.
my
Well, wouldn't even question about
Yep.
it if you question the
No,
preacher.
if you question the
Well,
preachers,
yeah.
Yes, that's
The
yeah,
preacher.
yeah, that's
The
true.
preacher.
It's true.
who
but-
is the voice of God, according
it
to John.
shouldn't
Isn't
be-
that what we're supposed to do? Doesn't God
Yes.
want us to
Yes.
question things?
Yes, that's
and
one
want
of the
us- doesn't
commands.
that-
Exactly right.
Isn't that how our relationship grows together? I mean, isn't that how you get to know somebody?
And not
Get
only
to know my
that,
husband.
yeah.
You know?
Not only that, it
Yeah.
says in the Bible, study to show thyself approved.
Mm-hmm.
It also says, be ready to give reason for the hope that lies within you. Know what you're talking
Answer
about.
to every man.
Yeah.
Be ready to give an answer to every man.
So if somebody
That's
comes to you and they're like, why do you believe this?
right.
Before I'd be like, so Phil, why do you not wear short sleeves? Well, somebody told me. I have no idea. I'm retarded.
No, it's true. You couldn't even effectively witness to anybody because you couldn't explain anything
Yep.
to them.
Yes.
And I'm going to be honest, I've had trouble there before.
Oh yeah.
Oh, me too. But this whole thing, Mariah, real quick on that, there are people in the conservative holiness movement that would say, even though your stepdad come along while you kids were still fairly young, correct?
Yeah.
They would say,
I was about 15.
okay, so you're still in the formative age. They would say your mom and your stepdad need to split up and live separate lives because they're
Yeah.
living in sin. She needs to raise you all
yeah.
on her own.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like that's pure hogwash.
That's what they
That's
Which she
nuts.
did for a few years in between that time because he
Oh,
was
yeah.
11. I was 11 when he left.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So between 11, for 5 years, my mom was a single mom who had 4 kids who went back to school. So she was a full-time student working a full-time job and put us in a private school as long as we could, or she could, until she's like, I can't afford this anymore.
Yep.
And so we ended up having to go to public school. Oh, so that just, stirred the pot even more because God forbid we go to public school.
Yeah.
Oh,
gracious.
boy.
Yeah, man.
Don't you
For sure.
dare.
I'd like to mention the Bible school that Missy went to that
Oh,
had
yeah.
had a child pornography ring going on there, and nothing's ever been
Oh,
done
yeah.
about it to this day that I know.
Oh,
of.
nothing will ever
And-
happen.
Nothing still has happened.
And what we at least this is not the view of the studio or everybody involved, but this is my personal opinion. Hopefully the right person might listen to this podcast and something might end up getting done.
Yeah. This is the danger of don't question things. Don't.
Yes.
If you
Yes.
see something,
100%.
you need to say something because
don't ask, don't tell. It's yeah. No, that's
So-
hogwash.
Yeah.
you know a little bit. Do you want to go into it or you
Yeah. So it's been a couple years ago now.
about a year?
No, it's been a little bit longer than that
it?
because I was.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a couple years ago. I got a message from a random person. Knew this person as a child, and randomly was just talking. Want to know how I was doing, and I was like, "Hey, we're doing great. This, that, and other. How's your family? How's your spouse? What's going on with this person?" And just randomly just started talking, and that's whenever the topic of Bible school came up, and was around this person around Bible school time. And I guess I found out that there were some girls that were taking pictures of multiple girls while they were changing and getting ready to put on their 3 times too big choir outfits.
Oh my goodness.
So I found out that there was a couple pictures of me, and I'm talking almost full-on nudity, just only in underwear, and that was just my personal experience. The only picture of me I know for sure of. This person says they saw it, and it was going around to different boys at the Bible school, in the Bible school dorm. They were talking, I guess, and it was being spread around.
And you were underage at this time, right?
I was 17 when I first went to Bible school. Yes.
My goodness.
And see, stuff about, that's, we really first heard about stuff like that with the Catholic Church.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But
That's
then-
always the butt of the jokes. The Catholic.
Yes. But
Oh,
it is
yeah.
no longer just the Catholic Church. It is the conservative holiness movement as well. How many stories have we heard about this recently? And
Yep.
and it's all because, we put these preachers up on this high pedestal because, they're a prophet. You don't question them people.
Yep.
You don't question none of their intentions, nothing. So if they go and do stuff like this, or somebody's, like at that Bible school,
Yep.
there's pictures circulating around of underage girls, and it's not a picture that they took and sent,
Yeah.
but we got to make sure that this college keeps a good name because we're doing the Lord's work.
Yeah.
No. Stuff like that needs to be known because if you don't change it, it's going to continue to happen.
It needs to come out.
So
Yeah.
my
Exactly.
concerns about this when I was talking to Phil, and I was really hot about it earlier today.
Oh yeah.
Why? Let's just say, okay, I found out about this, and our whole reasoning for talking about this is it is kept so hush hush that I really hope the right people are finding out about it, and it gets called out because I personally think I myself and those involved need an apology from this church
Oh,
and from the Institute.
100% because of the way that they acted with you all.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. And you go to a church led college to begin with.
Yeah.
You don't expect nothing like that
I'm
to
supposed to
happen.
be protected up there.
Yes.
My parents our young girls are going up there innocent. Like you talk about, I'm not going to say all of us are like innocent. There were some wild girls up there, obviously. But our girls are going up there to learn the Bible and like to become a good pastor's wife or a good layman's wife or whatever. Okay. Good missionary wife. Okay. We don't go up there to become victims of a pornography ring,
Heck no.
No.
much less
Yeah,
a
not at all.
unconsensual pornography ring.
Exactly.
And that's why I think if the and I just said the name of it,
It's fine.
and the Institute, whenever they started punishing these people, why was there never a public statement made to say, hey, this happened, we are so sorry. We have taken actions against this, at least addressed it. Because if it happened to me as a 17-year-old girl,
Who else did it happen to?
who else has it happened to?
So, when did they find out about this? Like, when did
I just found out about 2 years ago.
Did know about this
I don't
from
know.
way back when?
I don't know, and that's why I was going to say if they do know about it, shame on them, because they have not apologized to anybody that's been involved with this. Because my parents had no idea about this either.
Canaan, you know I'm right here. The culture of that church, of that movement, is if something bad comes out about a pastor, don't you'll hurt his work.
Yeah,
Don't keep it
don't,
hush hush.
you'll hurt the gospel.
Yeah,
You'll hurt the gospel.
we all
it's
know
true.
of a preacher
It's
that
true.
got arrested for abusing these kids, physical abuse. Okay?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
that's
Oh,
hush hush.
yeah.
Yeah.
Don't talk
Oh,
about
yeah.
that.
Or you hear that's one side of the story.
Yeah.
You don't know the whole story. Her family
Yeah,
has
he's
been
not
torn
guilty.
apart by
Yeah.
holiness people like
Oh.
no other, instead of having people stand up and help them. I feel very, very sorry.
I've even had
Very
people tell
sorry for
me
them.
try to justify him.
Yeah.
Like, well, you don't really know those kids. You don't really know what they were like, and I'm not saying they had it coming. I'm not saying, but I honestly had this conversation with a guy, and the whole time I'm like, dude, you POS. Why
mean,
would you
that
even
is
go down that
disgusting.
road? We say all this, guys.
Yeah.
We've went down this deep subject. This is by far the longest podcast we've ever done. We say this because we know that there are those who listen that either are a member of one of these organizations or have come out of it. And we're here to tell you,
Yes.
by George, there's hope.
There is.
There's
Yes.
hope. Jesus
There
is deeper than that.
Yep.
When I started realizing the real Jesus, and it took me, you guys here, the 5 of you has heard me, or the 4 of you has heard me say it many times, how ugly I was. I was a Pharisee, legalist, just ugly individual.
Me too.
And this was after I accepted Christ. It took God like 10 years to get me out of this.
Right.
And for him to open my eyes and realize, Phil, you're doing wrong. I was terribly ugly. I would judge people. I would be in a Baptist church, because Baptists were all going to hell. We all knew that, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I'd be in a Baptist church, for some reason, and let's all bow our heads for prayer. And I would not even bow my head, because I had the attitude, God doesn't recognize this. Look at these people. They're compromising. They're taking. That's how ugly I was.
And I'm going to say this. That is not something that your parents taught you.
No, not at all.
Or
No,
anything like that. Your pappy
Church.
even.
Yep.
The church.
The church. This
Yep.
is stuff they taught us as children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is so concerning.
This stuff came from the church.
Yeah.
I was the same exact way, man.
Yep.
Same
I
exact
can
way.
remember as probably 5-6 years old, walking through Walmart with Mom and Dad, and I can distinctly remember, because it was in Grafton, walking through Walmart, and I can remember thinking, how sad it was that everybody in that store was going to hell, but the
Yeah.
4 of us and
We
our
had it
little
figured out.
family.
Yep. But I'm here to tell you guys, Jesus changed me.
Right.
He took me out of that.
Me as well.
And it was amazing, and I'm still a work in progress.
Oh,
I'm still
absolutely.
learning things, but he changed me. He made me realize there's something deeper than this, and I'm telling you, if you're stuck in it now and you want out, there's hope for you. If you've been done wrong
yes.
by the church,
Yes.
specifically by the conservative holiness movement, if you've been done wrong, and Lord knows there's been a lot of people that have, listen, you're not alone. You're not alone.
Also, another thing too, if you guys do have questions, we do have Bible verses about different things we've talked about. If you are wondering what Bible verses we're talking about, message us. If you have any questions, I'm not saying we have all the answers, but we will do our best to help you, because this is a hurting world.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've came from a church that I hate to say it, but they have hurt us. We've all been hurt mentally. I don't know so much as physically.
I still feel
but
the effects
emotionally,
of
we
this stuff
have.
today.
Yes,
Yeah.
we've been hurt, and we all need to. Our main goal is to make it to heaven. And if this podcast can be used to help someone, make it to heaven, one soul, it is so worth it. This is what we feel like God wants us to do, and that's the reason why we're doing this podcast right now, to help those that are hurting.
Well, and
Yes.
I'll say, and when it comes to people using, let's say, well, this was traumatizing to me as a child, or I have PTSD from some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that term gets thrown around
It
very,
does.
very, very lightly. People just, try to use it to make points and that kind of stuff. But what we come out of, it literally has taken us years to figure ourselves out. I realized as an adult, what it was, and and how much harm it had done to me, and then I became bitter.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's
easy. To
Oh,
do.
yeah.
I didn't hate those people, but I didn't want nothing to do with them. I didn't care if they dropped off the face of the earth. I didn't want nothing to do with
And
them.
that's a trap in and of itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it honestly has taken all of us years to come out of this.
I think we've said all that time will let us do right now. If you
Yes.
have any questions or anything, feel free to submit them. We'll address them on later shows. Miss, are you good?
Yeah. I was gonna say we do have like the other things we're gonna talk about, the questions.
Yeah, we never did get to the main
We
question.
never did get to the main questions.
We might have to hit on this subject, which I'm sure we will.
We
I'm
will.
sure we will.
We'll have to hit on this subject later to finish up what
I
we
do-
had planned.
Yep.
We do have a few
Absolutely.
people that have sent us stuff too, like their stories of what they've experienced and came out of, and they've asked me to
Yeah,
also.
we didn't even get to touch
No,
them. Yep.
we also been asked to say those on air. So,
But what,
Well, we'll have to
podcast.
what we
revisit
did
the
get
subject
though,
soon.
we got them, and we'll definitely bring them out on another episode
Yep.
of this.
and if you do
Yes,
want
yes.
to send your story or anything, you can send it to us, like either by messenger or on.
Hillbillybroadcast at AOL.com. You can also go to anchor.fm/Phil Sparks. Send us a voice message. You can go to the Hillbilly Broadcast on Facebook. Send us a message on there. And that's how you can get them in.
Yeah.
John, you good?
Sweet.
I've said a lot more than I thought I was going to say, brother.
Kanan, are you good, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good.
Mariah, what about you?
We're good.
All right. For Miss, John, Kanan, Mariah, and Phil. And that wraps it up for another episode of the Hillbilly Broadcast. We love you. Jesus loves you. We'll catch you next time around.
Yes.
Bye.